My wife and her best friend accused me of cheating, and then got angry when it turned out to be false. I'm 31, my wife is 29. 9 months ago, we had a baby. The birth was traumatic, and my wife developed postpartum depression. Initially, she planned to return to work after giving birth, but things became so difficult for her that we decided to wait until our daughter turned 1 year old and then reassess the situation. She goes to therapy every week, and since my wife is now home all the time, I had to work more hours. We discussed this before making the decision, and she knew from the beginning that this would happen. A few weeks ago, my boss approached me with a project that would require a lot of overtime in a short period of time. It would be very beneficial both financially and for my career. I talked about it with my wife, and she agreed that I should tell my boss yes. During the 4 weeks while I would be working on this project, my mother-in-law and her best friend Jessie, 29, would come help my wife with some of the responsibilities that I normally handle. Jessie is a stay-at-home mom. She has a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old child. She started coming during the day and looked after the kids together with my wife. After 3 weeks of working on the project, it became clear that we would need a few more weeks to finish everything. That evening, I came home and talked to my wife about it. She said everything was fine, but over the following days, she became very cold. Over the past few months, this behavior hadn't been unusual, so I didn't think much of it and tried not to take it personally. During the last week of the project, one evening I came home and saw that Jessie was still at our house. I didn't think much of it, greeted her and my wife, and then went to check on our daughter. Before I could reach her room, I heard Jessie say something like, "He didn't even stop to say hello to you. That's definitely a sign." I turned around and asked what exactly it was a sign of. My wife immediately started crying, and Jessie began accusing me of having an affair. She told me I must hate my wife because of her postpartum depression and no longer feel attracted to her because she gained weight from pregnancy. Neither of those things is true. I've been doing everything I can to help my wife through her postpartum depression while also providing for our family. I think she looks beautiful right now. She simply didn't want intimacy, and I didn't pressure her. Then Jessie demanded to see my phone. I refused. She said that was a sign of guilt. I told my wife that I would let her see my phone if she wanted. She nodded, and something inside me broke. I think it really hurt me that she actually believed I could be having an affair, and that she didn't trust me after everything we'd been through. But she checked my phone, and there was no evidence. Jessie started saying that I had deleted the evidence. She started yelling and woke up our daughter, so I told her to get out of our house. Eventually she left, and I went to calm our daughter down because my wife was still sitting on the couch crying. When our daughter fell asleep again, I sat next to my wife and tried to talk to her about what was happening. She said she started worrying ever since I began working all those overtime hours. I told her we had discussed what a good opportunity this was, and she had agreed for me to take the project. She said the extension of the project timeline looked very suspicious. I told her that sometimes these things happen. She wanted more proof, so I showed her messages and emails with work timestamps, as well as pay stubs showing overtime hours. She said she believed me and was sorry she doubted me. Jessie had simply been telling her that all of this were signs that I was cheating. I asked why she believed Jessie more than me, and why she didn't come to me with her concerns. She had no answer. A couple of weeks passed, and the project ended. I even reduced my workload and tried to work a little less than before the project so I could spend more time with my wife and daughter. But I feel completely burned out from the workload, and I'm starting to feel resentment because deep down I know my wife doesn't trust me. I keep asking myself what will happen next time I get a project, or if one day I need to travel for work, or go on a business trip. Am I going to come home to accusations of cheating every single time? I tried bringing this up a couple of times, but my wife tells me it's not the right time and that she's tired or sad. I try to be careful with her feelings, but I wonder, does that mean my feelings have to be pushed aside? I don't know what to do. Does anyone have any advice on how to move forward? Update 1. 4 days later. Thank you everyone for the advice and support under my previous post. I think many of you pointed out something that should have been obvious. I need to find a therapist and start taking care of my own mental health. Several people asked for an update, but it's not a happy one. That evening I approached my wife and told her that I was going to find a therapist. I didn't connect my desire to go to therapy with her accusations or anything else. I simply said that I was struggling and needed help. She shrugged and said to do whatever I wanted. The next day I came home from work, and our bedroom and my home office had been completely turned upside down. Things everywhere, important papers scattered around. My wife was gone, and our daughter was crying in her room. My wife had left her alone. Her phone was turned off. I called my in-laws and several friends, but nobody had seen her. I started panicking and called my mother to ask if she could watch the baby while I went looking for my wife. Before my mother could arrive, my wife came back. Jessie drove her home. Jessie stayed in the car. She hadn't been at our house since I kicked her out because she was offended by my behavior. My wife walked into the house. She was clearly upset and crying. I asked, "What happened?" At first I thought maybe the house had been robbed. She started screaming that I was a cheater and that therapy was just a cover so I could meet my mistress. I tried calming her down and told her it wasn't true, but she lunged at me and hit me. My nose was broken. It was like she suddenly realized what she had done. She sat down on the couch and seemed to go into shock. She just stared at the wall. I went into my daughter's room and locked the door. I called my mother to tell her what had happened. She was already on her way, and I called my mother-in-law to ask her to come take care of my wife. I packed a bag for my daughter, and when my mother arrived, we left. My wife didn't even look up. We took my daughter to my father's house, and then went to urgent care because of my nose. I got blood all over my mother's new Subaru. My daughter and I will be staying with my parents for a while, and my wife will stay with hers. I'm looking into getting a restraining order against Jessie. My wife and I are separating. I love her, but I will not live with someone who hurts me and could potentially be dangerous to our daughter. I'm not filing for divorce yet. I hope my wife gets the treatment she needs and that we can work things out. My in-laws told me they are considering inpatient treatment at a local hospital, but I also have everything well documented in case there's a custody battle in the future. My heart is broken because I know this isn't my wife. It's the illness in her mind. But I need to protect myself and our daughter and give her space to recover. I hope this is the right decision. Edit. Thank you everyone for your feedback. After reading your comments, I talked to my parents and came to the conclusion that, for my daughter's safety, I need to file a police report. I'm on my way to the station now. Update 2. 5 days later, my wife died early Monday morning. Her friend Jessie convinced her that I was having an affair that never existed. My wife had a mental breakdown, and because of that, I took our little daughter and stayed with my parents for a while. She was staying with her parents, who planned to take her to the hospital for inpatient treatment on Monday. On Sunday evening, she came to my parents' house and demanded that I give her our daughter. Because the last time she had been responsible for her, she left her alone for several hours, and had also physically attacked me. I refused. I offered for her to come inside and spend time with our daughter in the presence of me and my parents, but she didn't want to come inside and wanted to take our daughter with her. She was upset, but eventually she left. A few hours later, she crashed her parents' car into a tree and died. Yesterday, Jessie came to see me and my daughter. After crying, she told me she planned to speak at my wife's funeral. She had already arranged it with my in-laws, but decided to tell me out of courtesy. I told her she would not be speaking at my wife's funeral. We argued, and before leaving, she told me that I wasn't the only person who loved my wife. I spoke with my in-laws, and they insist that Jessie should be allowed to speak. She and my wife had known each other since childhood, and my in-laws are close with her. We are all very vulnerable right now, and I'm afraid that if I continue insisting, it will damage my relationship with my in-laws, which I do not want. But just the thought of seeing Jessie at my wife's funeral makes me sick. I don't think I can handle hearing her speech knowing that she enjoyed my wife's deteriorating mental state and took my wife away while leaving my daughter home alone. At the same time, I don't trust myself to make decisions right now. My mind is clouded by grief, guilt, and fear. My parents are divided on what I should do, and I don't have the strength to turn to friends, so I'm here again asking for your advice.